If you're planning to pay cash for your next car, there's a good chance you're making a financial mistake. Not because debt is good, and not because car loans are magically smart, but because cash is a tool, and using a powerful tool on a bad asset is still a bad decision. A car loses value. Cash creates options. If you use one to buy the other without thinking strategically, you may be destroying wealth in the name of being responsible. Most people think paying cash for a car is the safest move. No payment, no interest, no lender. And on the surface, that sounds logical. But financial decisions should not be judged only by what feels safe. They should be judged by what produces the best long-term outcome. And in many cases, paying cash for a car is not the highest return move. It's just the simplest one. Let's start with the obvious truth. A car is not an investment. For most people, it is a consumption expense. It helps you commute. It gives you convenience. It may improve your quality of life. But financially, it is almost always a declining asset, which means every dollar you place into that vehicle is being allocated into something that is designed to lose value over time. That matters. Because when you pay cash, you are not just buying a car. You are making an allocation decision. You are saying, this lump sum of money will now live inside a depreciating asset. That is a very different decision than simply saying, I want to avoid a monthly payment. The biggest mistake people make here is focusing only on interest. They say, why would I finance the car and pay interest if I can just buy it outright? That sounds rational, but it ignores the more important variable. What could that cash be doing instead? That is the real cost. If you use $35,000 to buy a car in cash, that money is no longer liquid. It is no longer invested. It is no longer available for emergencies, opportunities, or compounding. So the comparison is not loan interest versus no interest. The comparison is loan interest versus the value of keeping my capital flexible and productive. That is how sophisticated buyers think. Liquidity is one of the most underrated advantages in personal finance. Cash on hand gives you resilience. It allows you to respond to uncertainty. It gives you bargaining power. It keeps you from making desperate decisions under pressure. When you drain a large amount of cash into a car, you reduce that flexibility. And flexibility has real value. If your income changes, if an opportunity appears, if an emergency happens, the person with available capital is in a stronger position than the person who owns a car outright, but has no liquidity. Owning something free and clear is emotionally satisfying. But financially, illiquidity can be expensive. This is where financing becomes interesting. When used correctly, financing is not about borrowing because you cannot afford the car. It is about preserving capital. If you can borrow at a reasonable rate and keep your cash deployed in places that produce a higher return, the math may favor financing. For example, if your loan costs 4 or 5%, but your capital can earn 8% over time in diversified investments, or create a higher return in your business, then paying cash may actually be the more expensive decision. This is why many high net worth individuals finance assets they could easily buy outright. Not because they need the loan, because they value control over their capital. Now, to be fair, many people choose cash because it protects them from bad behavior. And that is valid. If financing a car causes someone to overspend, stretch their budget, or rationalize a vehicle they cannot truly afford, then cash may be the better choice. But that does not mean cash is inherently superior. It means the buyer lacks discipline. And this distinction matters, because a lot of financial advice is built around protecting people from themselves, not around optimizing outcomes. Those are two very different goals. There are absolutely times when paying cash is the right move. If loan rates are high, if your income is unstable, if you do not have an emergency fund, or if the financing terms are poor, then paying cash may reduce risk. Also, if eliminating the monthly obligation improves your peace of mind in a meaningful way, that has value too. Money is not only math, it is also behavior. But the key point is this: paying cash is not automatically wise. It is only wise when it is the best use of capital in your situation. Instead of asking, should I pay cash or finance? Ask a better question. What decision leaves me with the strongest balance sheet after I buy the car? That question forces you to think like an investor, not just a consumer. It moves the conversation away from emotion and toward allocation, liquidity, and long-term net worth. And that is how better financial decisions get made. So no, you should not automatically pay cash for your next car. Sometimes it's the right move. Sometimes it's not. But if you want to build wealth, you need to stop treating every debt as bad and every cash purchase as good. That is not how wealth works. Capital should be placed where it performs best. And for most cars, that is not inside the car itself. If you want more videos on smart capital allocation, investing, and real-world wealth building, subscribe.